Flashback, Android 4.4 KitKat optimized the OS for phones with just 512 megabytes of RAM. Remember when Google used to name Android releases after desserts? It would even put statues of said desserts in front of its office. Things were fun back then, and more importantly, every new release carried major improvements. KitKat made phones more secure by switching SE Linux, Security Enhanced Linux, to Enforcing mode, which prevented compromised apps from accessing parts of the system they had no business touching. Version 4.4 also changed how apps accessed the memory card and simplified the browsing of local and cloud-stored files. There are many more tiny improvements that arrived with KitKat. For example, it changed the way how sensor data is tracked to reduce power usage. This also enabled the creation of the step counter feature, which was built into the OS instead of leaving it to apps to implement a power-hungry solution. KitKat's goal was to reach 1 million users. About a year after its release, version 4.4 KitKat was already running on 1/3 of Android devices, and it wouldn't be until mid-2015 before KitKat caught up with Jelly Bean. It never hit 50% adoption as Lollipop was already out by that time and gobbling up market share. In late 2015 Android was running on 1.4 billion devices in total, so KitKat never got to power a billion devices. First, the name. This was the first release to be named after a branded snack, all the others are generic desserts. This one was going to follow suit with the key lime pie name, but last-minute deal with Nestle gave us the name we know today. Despite this setback, pies will eventually be recognized for their importance on the table with the version 9.0 release. KitKat came after 3 releases of Jelly Bean, a version that focused on delivering a buttery smooth UI. Aside from a few UI tweaks of its own, KitKat's focus was on improving performance on devices with limited resources. That was the goal of Project Svelte, which aimed to run Android on as little as 340 megabytes of RAM, though 512 megabytes was more realistic. Looking back at some statistics, the average phone in 2013 had 1 gigabyte of RAM, with 3 gigabytes being the most that you could buy. This means there were quite a Google developers created many tools to shrink RAM usage by the OS and apps. One such tool was ZRAM, a compressed segment of RAM where unused data could be stored temporarily to free up room. This is different from the virtual RAM feature you see on current phones, that one leverages the fast internal storage to move data out of RAM. Of course, back in 2013 comparatively slow eMMC was the norm, especially on low-end devices, so such a scheme wouldn't have worked as well as ZRAM. Another major change was the preparation to replace Dalvik VM with the Android runtime, ART. The Dalvik virtual machine was crucial for early Android as it allowed software to be hardware agnostic. ARM, x86, and even the rare MIP CPUs were supported. Android 2.2 Froyo introduced just-in-time JIT compilation to speed up application performance, but after several years Dalvik was starting to show its age. ART uses ahead-of-time compilation, basically compiling the app to the phone CPU's machine code as part of the app installation process. KitKat still used Dalvik by default. It wouldn't be until Lollipop that Android completed the switch over to ART. But ART is